The wheelchair caught on the restaurant doorframe with a jolt that sent Emma's heart sinking. Of all the moments for this to happen, on a first date, with curious eyes turning toward her, with the handsome single father she'd been messaging for weeks standing awkwardly beside her. "Sorry, I'm in a wheelchair," she mumbled, the words tumbling out automatically, rehearsed from years of apologies for existing in a world not built for her. What happened next would change both their lives forever. If you're moved by stories of unexpected love and the courage it takes to overcome life's obstacles, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming true stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Emma Phillips had sworn off dating apps 3 times before. Each deletion had been followed by a lonely Friday night, a glass of wine, and an inevitable re-download. At 34, she'd mastered the art of the engaging profile, photos carefully selected to show her wheelchair without making it the focus, bio witty enough to attract the right kind of attention but honest enough to avoid uncomfortable surprises. The accident had happened 12 years ago. A rainy night, a driver texting, and her life had split cleanly into before and after. The physical therapy, the adaptations, the learning to navigate a world suddenly full of obstacles, those were challenges she'd faced head-on. Dating, however, remained treacherous territory. There were the men who disappeared after learning about her disability. The ones who fetishized it. The ones who saw her as an inspiration rather than a woman. And then there was Michael Bennett, whose profile mentioned his 7-year-old daughter Lily before anything about himself. Their messages had flowed easily for weeks. He was a high school English teacher who loved classic films and had a dry sense of humor that matched her own. He'd been upfront about being a widower, about how Lily was his world, about how he was cautiously stepping back into dating after 3 years alone. Emma had been equally honest about her wheelchair, but something about their connection made her hope it wouldn't matter. Now, stuck in the doorway of Salvatore's Italian bistro, she wasn't so sure. "Let me help," Michael said, his voice calm as he assessed the situation. Instead of pushing her chair or taking control, he knelt down to eye level. "What works best here? Guide me." The simple respect in that question, acknowledging her expertise in navigating her own life, caught Emma off guard. "If you could just lift the front slightly while I adjust the angle," she explained. Together they maneuvered through the doorway, a seamless team after just seconds of communication. The host led them to their table, where Michael casually moved a chair aside to make space without making a production of it. "So," he said once they were settled, "you mentioned you're a graphic designer. How did you get into that field?" No awkward questions about her disability. No overly careful avoidance of the topic either. Just conversation, as if she were any other date. Michael hadn't told Lily he was dating yet. After losing her mother to cancer when she was 4, his daughter had developed an anxious attachment to him that had only recently begun to ease. His sister Jen had been pushing him to get back out there for a year, offering to babysit, creating his dating profile when he wouldn't do it himself. "You're only 36, she'd insisted. "Sarah would want you to be happy." He knew that was true. Sarah had made him promise, in those final lucid moments before the hospice morphine took her away completely. "Find someone," she'd whispered. "Lily needs a mother. And you were never meant to be alone." Still, guilt shadowed every message he sent to Emma. Guilt that faded as their conversation deepened, as he found himself laughing at her jokes, impressed by her insights, looking forward to her texts each day. When she'd mentioned her wheelchair, he'd simply acknowledged it and continued their conversation. His years teaching teenagers had taught him that people wanted to be seen for who they were, not defined by any single characteristic. Besides, he'd already been drawn to her mind, her humor, her kindness when she asked about Lily. Sitting across from her now, watching her eyes light up as she described a design project she was passionate about, Michael realized something startling. This was the first time since Sarah died that he'd felt truly present with another woman, not constantly comparing, not feeling like he was betraying a ghost. Their first date stretched from dinner to dessert to a walk along the riverfront, Emma's wheelchair gliding smoothly along the paved path as they talked about everything and nothing. When Michael mentioned needing to relieve his sister from babysitting duties, Emma felt the familiar pang of reality intruding. "I had a wonderful time," she said, preparing herself for the polite goodbye that usually preceded ghosting. Instead, Michael asked, "Would you like to meet for coffee next weekend? I know a place with great accessibility and even better pastries." The second date led to a third, then a fourth. They established a rhythm, meeting while Lily was at school or with her aunt. Michael never pressured Emma to meet his daughter, understanding the significance that step would hold. "I don't introduce Lily to anyone I'm not serious about," he explained one evening as they watched the sunset from a park bench, Michael sitting beside Emma's wheelchair. "She's lost too much already." Emma appreciated his caution, even as she wondered where she stood. "And are you serious about this, I mean?" Michael took her hand, his expression thoughtful. "I'm serious about finding out everything there is to know about you. I'm serious about how you make me feel. The rest. I think we're building towards something real." The first major challenge came 2 months in, when Emma caught a severe flu that left her even more dependent on assistance than usual. Embarrassed and vulnerable, she tried to cancel their plans. "I'm a mess," she admitted over the phone. "This isn't how I want you to see me." "I've spent 3 years raising a child alone," Michael replied. "I've handled vomit, fevers, and worse. Let me bring you soup and medicine. No pressure, no expectations." He arrived with homemade chicken soup, a stack of classic movies, and a gentle presence that asked for nothing. He helped without hovering, respected her boundaries while offering support. When she dozed off during Casablanca, he simply covered her with a blanket and read quietly beside her. Emma woke to find him still there, glasses perched on his nose as he graded papers. The sight stirred something profound in her, not just attraction, but a recognition of rare understanding. "You didn't have to stay," she murmured. Michael looked up, his smile reaching his eyes. "I wanted to." The question of meeting Lily hung between them, unspoken but growing more present as their relationship deepened. Emma had experience with children through her volunteer work at a community arts program, but the prospect of meeting Michael's daughter carried weight beyond ordinary nervousness. "What if she doesn't like that I'm in a wheelchair?" Emma finally voiced her fear one night. "What if it scares her or makes her uncomfortable?" Michael considered this seriously. Lily's grown up in a diverse world. Her best friend at school has 2 moms. Her favorite teacher uses a prosthetic arm. But more importantly, she trusts my judgment. If I love spending time with you, she'll want to know why. The word love hung in the air between them, neither acknowledging it directly but both feeling its presence. "I'd like to meet her," Emma decided. "Whenever you think the time is right." Michael planned the introduction carefully, a Saturday afternoon at a children's museum with interactive exhibits accessible to Emma's wheelchair. Neutral territory where Lily could engage or withdraw as needed. "Lily, this is my friend Emma I've told you about," Michael said as they met outside the entrance. The little girl with Sarah's eyes and Michael's serious expression regarded Emma with undisguised curiosity. "Your chair has cool wheels," she observed. "Thanks," Emma smiled. "They light up when they spin fast. Want to see?" By the time they reached the bubble exhibit, Lily was perched on Emma's lap, both of them laughing as they created massive soap bubbles that floated toward the ceiling. Michael watched them, a complicated emotion swelling in his chest, joy tinged with the bittersweet awareness that Sarah should have been here to see their daughter's happiness. Later, as Lily explored a climbing structure, she called down, "Dad. Emma can't come up here." Before Michael could respond, Emma called back, "That's okay. Not everything is made for wheelchairs. You explore up there, and you can tell me all about it after." "But that's not fair," Lily frowned, climbing back down. "Life isn't always fair," Emma said gently. But we can still have fun together. Look, there's an art station over there we can all enjoy. Michael watched this exchange with a tightness in his throat. In that moment, he knew he was falling in love with Emma, not despite her disability, but because of the person it had helped shape her into, resilient, adaptable, honest. Their relationship progressed steadily after that. Emma became a regular presence at their home, helping Lily with art projects, joining them for movie nights, becoming part of their small family unit without trying to replace what they had lost. The challenges came in unexpected forms. There was the school play where the auditorium had no wheelchair access, forcing Michael to choose between supporting his daughter and including Emma. There was the family wedding where distant relatives made thoughtless comments within Lily's hearing. There was the day Lily came home crying because a classmate had asked if Emma was her new mom, triggering grief she hadn't fully processed. Each obstacle required patience, communication, and creative problem-solving. For the school play, the principal arranged last-minute accommodations after Michael advocated firmly. At the wedding, Michael and Lily formed a protective circle around Emma, answering intrusive questions with polite but firm boundaries. And for Lily's grief, they found a family therapist who helped all three of them navigate the complex emotions of building something new while honoring what came before. 1 year into their relationship, on a crisp autumn evening, Michael proposed during a private picnic by the river where they'd walked on their first date. He'd arranged for Lily to join them afterward, and she arrived carrying a small box of her own. "I can't get down on one knee," she announced seriously, "but Emma, will you be my bonus mom?" Inside the box was a handmade bracelet of colorful beads, each one representing something Lily loved about Emma: her laugh, her patience, her cookie baking skills, her willingness to have wheelchair races down the hallway. Emma, overwhelmed by this double proposal, found herself speechless for perhaps the first time in her adult life. Finally, she managed to say, "Yes. To both of you. Yes." The wedding planning revealed how deeply embedded ableism remained in society. Venues that claimed to be accessible weren't. Photographers suggested poses impossible for Emma. Well-meaning friends asked if she would use a normal chair for the ceremony. "I am normal," Emma finally snapped after one too many thoughtless comments. "My wheelchair is part of me. I'm not hiding it away for aesthetic purposes on my wedding day." Michael found her later, crying in frustration. "We could elope," he suggested, only half joking. "No," Emma wiped her eyes. "I want the wedding. I want to celebrate with everyone who supports us. I just wish it didn't have to be so hard." "Then we make it our own," Michael decided. "We find vendors who get it. We educate those who don't. And we create a day that represents us, all of us, exactly as we are." They found a venue with genuine accessibility. They hired a photographer with experience capturing wheelchair users beautifully. They planned a ceremony where Emma would walk down an aisle wide enough for comfort, where Lily would stand between them during vows, where their union would celebrate not just romantic love but the family they were building together. The wedding day arrived with perfect weather and imperfect moments that somehow made the day more meaningful. Emma's chair got decorated with flowers that kept falling off. Lily spilled juice on her flower girl dress minutes before the ceremony. The accessible bathroom at the venue was temporarily out of order, requiring last-minute scrambling. But then there was the moment Emma appeared at the end of the aisle, radiant in a dress designed to complement rather than hide her wheelchair. There was Michael's face as he saw her, love shining so clearly that no one present could doubt its authenticity. There was Lily, bouncing with excitement between them as they exchanged vows. "I promise to navigate life's obstacles with you," Michael said, his voice steady despite the emotion behind his words. "To find the accessible routes, to remove barriers where we can, and to carry each other, figuratively and sometimes literally, over the ones we can't avoid." Emma's vows acknowledged the journey that had brought them together. "I promise to never apologize for who I am or how I move through the world. I promise to show Lily that different isn't less. And I promise to love you both with everything I am, wheels and all." 5 years into their marriage, life had settled into beautiful complexity. They'd moved to a fully accessible home with a garden Emma could tend from her chair. Lily, now 12, had grown into a fierce advocate for accessibility in her school and community. Michael had become department chair at his high school, implementing inclusive teaching practices that benefited all students. Emma's design business had expanded to specialize in accessible websites and materials, her first-hand experience giving her insight that clients valued. She'd also started a mentorship program for disabled youth interested in creative careers. They'd weathered health scares, financial strains, and the ordinary challenges of family life. They'd celebrated victories large and small. They'd created traditions that honored Sarah's memory while embracing their present happiness. One evening, as they sat on their accessible deck watching Lily practice soccer moves in the backyard, Emma reflected on that first date, on the moment her chair had caught in the doorway. "I almost canceled that night," she admitted. "I'd had so many bad experiences. When I got stuck in that doorway, I thought, here we go again. Another disaster." Michael took her hand, the gesture as natural as breathing after years together. "I remember thinking how gracefully you handled it. How you didn't let embarrassment derail the evening. And I remember thinking how you didn't make it a big deal. You just helped. Without taking over." Lily called for them to watch a new trick, momentarily interrupting their reminiscence. They applauded her effort, their encouragement synchronous after years of parenting together. "You know," Michael said when Lily returned to her practice, "that moment in the doorway was when I first thought this might be something special. Not despite the wheelchair, but because of how we solved that problem together. It felt like a preview of our life." Emma smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. "Sorry, I'm in a wheelchair," she quoted her younger self with gentle self-mockery. "I'm not," Michael replied, kissing her temple. "Not for a single second." The story of Emma, Michael, and Lily wasn't about overcoming disability or finding inspiration in difference. It was about 3 people who built a life together, navigating a world not designed for them with grace, humor, and occasional righteous anger. It was about love that didn't require perfection or conformity, that made space for grief alongside joy, that recognized strength in vulnerability. Their journey reminds us that the most meaningful connections often begin in unexpected moments, perhaps even in doorways we get stuck in, and that the most beautiful families are the ones we build deliberately, with patience and understanding, one day at a time. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more content that celebrates the complex, messy, wonderful reality of human connection. Remember that love doesn't demand perfection, it simply asks for authenticity and the courage to keep showing up, exactly as you are.